Well, we are honored to have some students from Robinson. This is the jazz band, if I'm not mistaken, and Mr. Andrew Lynn and Mr. Richard Brown are here with them, and you are in for a treat. Those of you who are listening via radio, you are also in for a treat. I came early, and I'm so glad. I had some things I had to take care of, and I was serenaded. It made my job so much nicer. So y'all show up at my house tomorrow. I think I need to do some cleaning or something. So yeah, maybe that'd get me motivated. But you will be amazed when you hear these middle school students. I've been around music my whole life, and not that I'm an expert, but I do know good versus not so good, and they're excellent. So we're thrilled to have you, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lynn.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. Thanks for having us. Thank you. We thought having a little music before a board meeting might fill the seats a little bit better tonight. So thanks for having us. This is our Robinson Middle School Jazz Band. This group is in their second year. We actually started not really even 2 years. We started in the second semester of last year. Just as an after-school group, and then continued on this year. I think this year we started after fall break with our rehearsals, and they rehearse once a week after school for about an hour, and it's a mix of 7th and 8th grade students. These are all volunteers. There was no audition process or anything, just, hey, if you want to do it, show up and we'll do it. 7th graders, raise your hand, who all are 7th graders in the group, and then 8th graders. So we've got a good mix of 7th and 8th grade. And having a lot of fun. So I also want to introduce to you Mr. Daniel Del Moro back here. He's our percussion director at Robinson and Sevier and DB, and he helps out with some of our percussion as well. So our first tune that we're going to play for you is Sea Jam Blues. This is a Duke Ellington tune, very, very well-known swing tune. And we just started working on solos for this in the last rehearsal, which was last Wednesday. And we had several brave students that volunteered to solo tonight. And when they solo, they're improvising their own solos. They're making up their own solos. So Carly Cavanis is going to play a solo for us, and Levi McGuire and Matea Cardoza, all on saxophone. And then we end with Sam Voitas up here. All right, so this is Sea Jam Blues. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. And have another hand for those soloists up here. By the way, those are all 8th graders except brave Mateo up here. Mateo's a 7th grader, so give him an extra round of applause because that was kind of awesome. I want to take just a minute before we play the next tune and just brag on these students just a minute and really brag on all of our Robinson band students. We're so proud of the students at Robinson and that are participating in the band. This is my 2nd year at Robinson along with my colleague, Mr. Richard Brown. He's here right there. And we came in last year and we were tasked with restoring that tradition of excellence back into the Robinson band that had been there for so many years, and those high expectations and discipline and developing high-level musical skills. And these students have just accepted that challenge and just taken it to a whole new level. So we're very proud of all they're doing. This year, we had some exciting results from our junior clinic audition. So junior clinic is an honor band. Actually, there's 2 honor bands, one for 7th grade, one for 8th grade. And students from all over our region, Upper East Tennessee, there's about 30 or 40 schools that are actually eligible to participate, and 200 students are selected through a very rigorous audition. Out of the 200 that were selected, 74 of those students were from Robinson. So we're pretty proud of that. So they have really stepped up, and we really appreciate the support we get from our faculty and our staff and our administration, Dr. Gardnauer and Dr. McCord and Dr. Peer for all they do for our band. So we're excited. We're excited about the foundation these students are getting, and we know that they're going to just have a seamless transition when they go up to DB, and they're going to go and be in the band there and just be ready to go and be firing on all cylinders. So we're excited about that. All right, so our next tune is going to be one I think you'll recognize. This is, you've probably heard Louis Armstrong sing this one. This is What a Wonderful World. Thank you so much. We want to play one more for you. Before we do that, Mr. Brown is very versed in band history of Kingsport, and he tells me that this is the first time in the 100-year history of the Kingsport band programs that Sevier Middle School, Robinson Middle School, and DB has all had an active jazz band program going at the same time, which is pretty neat. And to celebrate that, on April 29th, coming up real soon, in the DB band room at 7:15, we're going to have our first Kingsport Jazz Night with featuring all the jazz bands, middle school jazz bands and the DB jazz band. So we'd love to have you come out for that, 7:15 on April 29th. Also, I want to invite all of you, all of our board members and our school leaders. Our Robinson Spring Band Concert is going to be May 5th at 7 o'clock at the Tribe Athletic Complex, and that's going to feature our 6th grade beginning band. They're amazing, by the way. You should come hear them. You will not believe it. They don't sound like beginners, I promise. 7th and 8th grade, our concert band and our jazz band will play as part of that as well. So that's going to be on May 5th at the Tribe Athletic Complex. So we'd love to have you come out for that as well. All right, we're going to finish with kind of a New Orleans brass band kind of piece. This is called Alligator Alley.
We have 1 minute until we're going to officially start our meeting, and I can promise you it will not get better than that. But I take that back. We have some recognitions that we're going to make, and that will be absolutely fantastic. So thank you again, Robinson Middle School students and the directors, for all the hard work that you're putting in. We really appreciate it. I will tell you, there will be a time when we are going to have a short recess. If you want to wait, we're going to go ahead and try to get our meeting started. The time is now 6 o'clock, and the Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 Kingsport City Schools Board of Education regular meeting is now called to order. And we are so blessed to have a number of students with us tonight. And Dr. True, you're going to keep the ball rolling with 2 for the pledge, I think.
We're going to do our best. I'm going to invite Eliam, Mingo, and Briggs Waycaster and crew to come up with me. Whoever would like to come on up. Dr. Janice Irvin. That's a little overwhelming at times. Dr. Janice Irvin, our principal at Palmer Learning Center and the director of our early learning programs. And I got Briggs here with me. Briggs, how you doing tonight, bud?
Good.
Good. How was your day today?
Good.
What? Good. Good. Very good. So when you're Palmer, right? What was the best thing you did today? If you think back to your school day today.
Going outside.
Going outside. It's a beautiful day outside, wasn't it? Exactly. And we are really glad, Eliam, you're here as well to be able to say the pledge. We're going to do it all together, okay? Briggs, are you ready? Okay. So we're going to ask everybody if you would please stand. It's right over there. Okay. Okay. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Fantastic job, young men. We are so proud of you, and we're so glad that you're here. And I'm gonna tell myself a little bit. I promised a cookie if they get up here. So somebody make that happen back there because it's a lot of people to get up in front of. So that was very brave of you, and we're so glad that you're here. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to accept the agenda, which includes the consent agenda. Once the agenda is accepted, the board mutually agrees not to discuss any item of business or take any action that has not been accepted for the agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second? Okay, if you would cast your votes. Okay, and the votes have been cast, and it's unanimous. The agenda has been accepted. At this time, I'm going to switch gears and actually come back there. We have several students that we're going to recognize in our arts program. And I'll just say, before we get started with that, it is listening to the students tonight and seeing all these students that we're going to recognize reminds me why we do what we do. And that is to try to continue to give students opportunities in all extracurricular activities, whether it's robotics, athletics, our music department. It's so important for students to be involved, and I heard the directors talking to the students before they played and telling them, make sure you're paying attention, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're a good representative. So they're not just making them better musicians or better athletes or better thinkers, they're making them better people. So when they come around and they're selling this or that, go ahead and pitch in and support them because we are just thrilled the results that are coming out of our programs, extracurricular programs. Okay, I will stop with that and get on to the recognitions. I'm just going to call them all up. Get out of the front row here. Well, I'm not. Okay, it's okay. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. Okay, so I would like at this time, I'm going to be recognizing all state students who have are in band, choir, and orchestra. And so I'm going to start with band. So if these students will come up, and I will say that being all state in anything is no small feat. It takes a lot of hard work and commitment, blood, sweat, and tears. And so we're really proud of you, and I hope I'm pronouncing the names correctly, and if I haven't, you can blame that on my Carter County roots. So we're going to start with band. Will Bailey, Hopeland Elmore, Liam Klug, Claire Lee, Will Lively, Adeline Little, Luke Nash, Keratin Slagle, Anderson Tarpley, Jonathan Watts, Elizabeth Williamson, and Zoe Young. Yes, I should have put you up. And I'm going to let you all. Hopeland. Okay. All right. And Liam, I know who you are. Congratulations. Claire, congratulations. And Will, the other Will. Okay. And Adeline, Little. Luke. And Carrie. She's not here. Thank you. Okay. And Anderson. Jonathan. There you go. Elizabeth. Also known as EA. Yes. And so, congratulations.
Okay, so if we could try to squeeze in right here and do two violin, 2 lines, called short.
It's a wonderful problem to have. And parents, if you want to come and get a picture, by all means, please do that.
So those of you who have been here before, we typically go over there. I think it's too tight.
Zoe, switch your plan.
Hey now.
It's the truth.
Watch it.
It's wonderful to have the directors here.
Okay.
Just find your window.
Bend down a little. Yeah. Sorry, it is super awkward. Okay. I can't see. Maybe because you guys move over just a hair. We want to make sure we get everyone's face. So. That's perfect. Okay, don't move. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Wonderful. Congratulations, students. Did all the parents get a picture? Okay. And so now you all may have a seat, and we're going to move on to our choral all-state students, Sadie Cheshire and Lexi Krause.
This one won't be as hard. Yeah. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, absolutely.
Congratulations. I have the pleasure of hearing Lexi sometimes at church, so we're very, very thrilled with what's going on in our choral department as well. And now, last but certainly not least, our orchestra students, Abdul Elyafi, Emily Doyle, Nate Glenn, and Brandon Ng. Emily, okay. Right. There you go. Thank you. Get a quick picture. And you, could you give these to yours? Would you? Thank you. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to take just a short little recess so that you may go. I'm sure there are many wonderful things that you have in store. Again, congratulations to the students, but a huge thank you to our directors. They put in so much time and effort and energy. The Overtone a cappella group joined us this year at the state convention in Nashville, and I thought our buttons were going to pop. We were so proud of those students. Other student groups performed, and they did an amazing job, but our kids were just phenomenal. So keep up the great work. We're so proud of you, all areas of the arts. We're so proud. Thank you very much. So if you want to go, you may be dismissed at this time. Okay, we're going to continue on with our meeting now, and there actually are more recognitions. And at this time, we're going to recognize from the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, TCAP, the Elizabeth in recognition of Kingsport City Schools as the gold level dual enrollment partner for spring of 2025. And I think we have Dr. Richard Church here to do that.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Hampton. It is my honor. This is my favorite time of year. First of all, didn't know I was going to get to see a full concert when I came in, and then came in the back and felt like I was part of it, except I can't play anything well. So
The radio.
I can play the radio well sometimes, but don't ask my daughter that. So it's our honor to be here. I wasn't able to be here in the fall when you all also are gold level dual enrollment partners. I was feeling under the weather. But on behalf of President McMillan, Vice President Fink, and to get the three of us together in one location, obviously tonight's a real honor because our schedules never align, but tonight it aligned, so we're all three happy to be here. Our dual enrollment coordinator, Gwen Widener, is also with us. She puts in a lot of hard work coordinating with the high school, with Dr. Shadden and his staff. So we were able to present you all with this award back in the fall, and this has become a competition I started 2 years ago. And I started it, and I love to see these numbers go up, not because the numbers go up, and I said this at Sullivan County's board meeting last week, but because for every number that I see added onto this list, a pathway is opened to post-secondary early, a pathway is opened directly to industry, and an opportunity is there, whether or not the student takes it, but the opportunities are there. And Kingsport has fully embraced the idea that CTE is just as important as academic dual enrollment, as all-state band, as football, as basketball, because it is important for industry in our region. So I want to say that we appreciate that because that opens opportunities and pathways for the students in Kingsport City. So I have to say right now, as of spring 25 on April the 8th, we have 425 students dual enrolled at Dobyns-Bennett in embedded classes. That means the instructors that are in CTE at Dobyns-Bennett High School are delivering our competencies with rigor. We do site visits. We have relationships with those instructors, and it works beautifully. And then on our campus here in Kingsport, we have 4 students in the building construction program, 12 students in the off-road diesel program, 1 student that comes all the way to Elizabethton for our pipe fitting program, 7 students in collision repair, and then 4 in pre-practical nursing. So that is absolutely amazing. All total, Kingsport City Schools has 453 high school students dual enrolled with the Tennessee College of Applied Technology. That is a huge accolade for the hard work put in by the staff, the faculty, leadership of Dr. Shadden, Dr. Hampton blessing all that we do. So I just want to say congratulations to you all. And now also, here's where the proof, you were one of our first big dual enrollment partners over 3 years ago when I got to TCAT Elizabethton. The increases in the pathways, the creativity to make it work for students is important. And on Thursday, May the 8th at 6 o'clock, back at our main campus, our central office in Elizabethton, we'll have over 30 Kingsport City Schools students who will have earned a certificate or diploma from TCAT Elizabethton prior to their high school graduation. If they can't make it there, we're going to make sure we bring it to them to make sure they get recognized. They'll get an honor cord from us to wear at high school graduation. They'll also actually receive the certificate or diploma that they've earned while they've been in high school at Dobyns-Bennett. So congratulations to Kingsport City Schools. Madam Chair, if you would come up, Dr. Hampton, if you would come up, President McMillan, Vice President Fink, we'll present you now with this gold level dual enrollment partnership. I hope you continue to hang these banners up because this is an amazing relationship and partnership. Oh, yeah, let's back up.
There we go, perfect. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you all. Congratulations.
Thank you, all three of you, for being here tonight and for making pathways for our students. And that's our goal, is to every student that walks across the stage to have a pathway for their next steps. And obviously, 453 students, that's incredible. It's a great partnership. We hope it will last for a very long time. You have such passion for it. It's obvious, as does Dr. Shadden and Mr. Bailey, Dr. Tate, all of us. Many of us sitting around this table right here have students who have participated, earned college graduation credits or credits towards college or next step certifications. We can't thank you enough. So we're going to continue on. We love gold, so we hope you're right back here again in the fall.
Thank you. Thank you for support.
Let me say, too, that just a congratulations to Dr. Shadden. I know he was acknowledged, but really the celebration is at the school level. And when he joined us, it's probably been 8 years now. He completely revitalized what career education looks like in Kingsport. And so remiss that to let this moment pass without acknowledging all that he and Dr. Bailey are doing back at Dobyns-Bennett to make these types of recognition possible.
We are very grateful in changing the lives of students one class at a time. So grateful, very, very grateful. Now is the time when members of the audience are invited to comment on agenda items. If pre-approved by the Board Executive Committee, members of the community may also address the board regarding non-agenda items. In order to speak on a topic not included on the agenda per Board Policy 1.404, you must submit a written request to the Superintendent of Schools at least 3 business days before the regular meeting. This is not the time to speak about personnel issues, as there are more appropriate ways in which these can be addressed. If you aren't sure how to do this, please ask a board member after the meeting. In your remarks, you may not refer to students by name without permission from a parent or guardian. Speakers are requested to first state your name and limit your remarks to a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to speak on an agenda item? Okay. Seeing none, we will continue. And before we get into the business items, I do want to say welcome to our Scout Troop 387. Some members of that troop are here. If you would stand and let us recognize you. We are so glad that you are here with us tonight. They are earning their communication badge. And they are led by Polk Chandler and Lance Klosterman. So we are very glad that you're here with us and so proud of the work that you're doing in the world of scouting. And now for our business items, we will ask Dr. Brian Cinnamon to please come as we look at adopting science textbooks and resources.
Sure.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for the time. I appreciate this, and on behalf of the committee of teachers and support personnel that created this, what I'm going to share with you, I'd like to say that I'm very satisfied with this process. I felt as though, having been a part of that for other content, that we've really developed a strong system of understanding how to approach resources that will support and enhance instruction. And so it's science turn, and science matters to us. And so we took this very seriously. And our teacher team was identified in November. We began meeting with our teacher representative team. That is vertical, so that represents all grade levels, because the adoption does span all grade levels. And we began facilitating, starting with this pretty good visual of what we attempted to do. And ultimately what we started with was developing, orienting ourselves to what our vision for science instruction might look like vertically. And I was excited about that because our team was able to cross grade levels and grade bands and have vertical conversations that they don't often get time to do. I recall a conversation where our high school biology folks were discussing this with kindergarten teachers, and it was very impactful. And in each session, we had an opportunity to get feedback from teachers as to what was next in that work, and that helped guide and direct that. But this visual represents what we attempted to do and what I feel strongly about, that we came with good recommendations. So we simplified the vision work. You know, vision work can be very challenging at times. So we attempted to simplify this, and what we really wanted, the input from our teachers was, you know, around a couple of things. So 3 big ideas. What would we like to see students doing and saying? What would we like teachers doing and saying? And then what is the culture? What is the best culture for science instruction? And so we used that to develop a framework, and they were each individually tasked with coming up with lots of notes. We did a lot of notes. We used a lot of Post-its. And so then we developed our consensus together, and we had a small guiding team, Dr. Flora, Marsha Buck, and some of our indies that would help me take this information and synthesize that after each session. And so what we came away with were some big ideas that I think that I won't obviously read to you, but I think are impactful. These standards are significant. They represent a large shift. The first science standard shifts in 2017 and 18 were a very significant shift away from what had been normal science instruction for us for many years. And this is, again, another layer of that. Nationally, they're known as NGSS, so that's a national standard. And our state has a version that is somewhat aligned to national science standards. But the big ideas mentioned here, the scientific thinking, and one I'd like to point out is phenomena. So we really spent a lot of time thinking about what does phenomena mean to us, how does that drive instruction. And we really wanted kids exploring that and developing the ability to critically think. And that was a theme through each grade band. So this is what the teachers identified. Again, not exhaustive, but some of the big ideas. This is what we thought we'd like to see students doing. And so you can see there, we want students to see a lot of action. We want students asking questions, designing, analyzing, discussing, and creating. And so that's exciting to think about, seeing that in science classrooms, the ability to see that kind of action from the student. And then in our ideal culture, we talked a little bit about the real world application. So the idea that we would take or attempt to take real world problems to solve and digest those in the classroom and utilize students, the input of that to projects or other modalities to come away with the application of learning. And so that's also exciting. And another big idea is inquiry-based learning. And so that was what we came away with in terms of ideal culture. And this is just a quick summary of what that meant to summarizing trends across each grade band. Again, won't read that to you, but you can see some of those big ideas coming out of that. And if you look at that and think about what is it we want our kids to know and be able to do by the time they leave us, this is a pretty strong list of things. And really, we'll be preparing kids quite well if we can accomplish these ideas. We also came away with kind of a statement about what this work meant to us collectively. Again, summarizing all of that effort. The team knew that the task was to get to this point where we'd be able to come to you and say, this is what we recommended. The reason the vision was so important is it represented how we were going to go about reviewing science materials. If we just went and looked at those and said, oh, well, we think it's pretty, or it's nice, or it feels good, or it smells good, all those things don't matter as much as meeting the needs of what a vision might tell us to do. And so we really use that vision to guide the creation of a review rubric. And so there's some around the room there on tables, and I promise we'll get rid of these things soon. They've been up here for a while, but we've had to do that work. But the vision really drove the creation of the rubric. We used that rubric to conduct teacher reviews, and we did several deep dives. And then we had what's called a caravan day, and that simply means we had vendors. Once we were able to narrow our focus a bit to a couple of resources that we most widely considered, we had them come in and be with our teacher teams and do a presentation and demonstrate the resource, and then allow our teachers to interact and ask questions that they had. And so that really, the walk away from that was the ability to really develop consensus about what we were going to recommend. And so part of that recommendation is to consider resources that are most aligned to our vision. And so that's the language we're using about it. We're really trying to create integrity about how we're going to align a resource to the vision. Certainly one of the key concepts of that is it has to also be standards aligned. It has to be aligned to what Tennessee standards require of us. And so in doing so, we thought of this in grade bands. Each of the grade bands are a little different in their needs. And I'm saying grade bands in terms of kindergarten through second grade, third grade through fifth grade, sixth through eighth grade, and then ninth grade and beyond, depending on the biology class. So that could be biology 1 or 2 and honors. We're restructuring biology a bit and rethinking environmental science in a way to meet the needs of students a little better. And so that was the main focus of the content for the 9-12 grade band. And so the K-5 consensus was across that grade band, both K2 and 3-5, was McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill was our team thought most aligned to our vision and to what the Tennessee science standards were asking of us. We have had a science resource used at the elementary level in the past. It was not a strongly aligned resource. Our teachers struggled with some of that alignment and had to then be curators of content, which is hard for them as they're planning for instruction. And so we're hoping that this resource will allow them not to have to do as much curating and do more planning and preparation. So it's really a shift to trying to meet the needs of all students and that they serve. And so that was the decision in K-5. We have had an opportunity over the last year and a half for the 6-8 band to look at an open resource that's openly available to us already, that we've been a part of a team that has done some standards alignment work just in Tennessee using that open resource, and it's available to us now. And so our team felt as though they really couldn't find a better resource than that, and it was already available to us. And there had already been Tennessee standards alignment work, and we've already done some professional learning with that vendor. And so we decided not to adopt and purchase for the 6-8 grade band. And then for biology, again, the biology courses I mentioned, so biology 1, 2, and honors. I have a caveat. So they are interested in and are still determining the level of interest in Savas, and so Savas is a digital only. I failed to mention in the K-5 adoption we would like for that to be print and digital, so it would be bundled. Not likely a workbook, reproducible, but a physical text and the digital content as well, which would be integrated with our LMS, which is Canvas, mostly in the upper grades 3 through 5. But for back to the Savas for biology, that would be digital only. Teachers were interested in the ability to enhance the instruction that's already in place. Again, not having to curate was the big idea. So less time spent on curating, more time spent on lesson prep, and therefore potentially the ability to meet the needs of all learners. The caveat is, as we have gotten kind of behind the door with that resource, we're noticing some questions we have and potential concerns, and so we're working through those. We still feel as though we're leaning towards adoption, but to make the full decision, we need a little more time to decide. That there are two components, obviously, to the process. One is coming to you for approval of what we're recommending, and then there's certainly the second part of that is what we're actually going to purchase, the purchasing process, which requires another couple of steps for us depending on the cost. Most of the time, these are pretty high cost materials, so sometimes that required board, mayor, and alderman approval as well. And so we have a little bit of time before we have to decide that, and we're doing a deeper dive. So I do want to point out a caveat that we're working through some questions we have with the vendor related to the biology adoption for Savas.
What are those questions?
So one of them is we were really looking for assessment components that would really help us develop strong assessments for learning. We were hopeful that the resource itself would have item types that would most align with the types of item types we develop for student formative assessment and benchmarking. And it's no way to have full access to something before you buy it, but what they've given us, we have had some concern with the item type quality. We already have a resource, Mastery Connect, that does that, where we can draw from item bank and develop assessment items. So that was one of them. The student interactivity component is another one we're learning about. So we've asked for a more demonstration of what that would look like. It is integrated with our Canvas instance. And so certainly that itself, our teachers are used to utilizing to develop instruction, but we need to know a little bit more about how effective is that interactivity.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, so tonight, would your ask be then to only approve the K-5
I would like
adoption?
I'm suggesting approving K-5 and the 912. We would have the decision. There is an opportunity as state regulation to adopt and not purchase.
Okay.
And so what I would like to do, because the leaning is still towards wanting that resource for biology, is to recommend or get your approval for recommendation of McGraw-Hill K-5 and the Savas for biology.
Okay.
And then we will inform the board of the next steps for biology in terms of purchasing.
Okay. Additional questions for Dr. Cinnamon?
Between the Savas or what's the title of the book? Levine?
Yes, it's Levine.
Is it Miller and Levine or just Levine?
It is Miller and Levine.
Okay. Is there a version of the Miller and Levine that is Tennessee specific and Texas specific? Or is there just a Miller and Levine biology?
It is a Tennessee specific. So these resources had to go through a Tennessee commission. It was several years of commissioned teachers across the state that were giving input to the review process. It goes through a pretty critical review before it even becomes something we can even review. We didn't review anything that wasn't on the approved list.
Gotcha.
It would have had to been a waiver process. And in true authenticity, this was a tougher adoption. There were very few resources that met state approval to be considered. And so it really was, we were kind of dealing with a small deck to begin with.
because Miller's original book was not purchased by Texas. He purposely wrote it that way so that it wouldn't be. And it looks like they've gone back and re-edited it to be broader and more broadly accepted. Texas is, for those who haven't been on here before, Texas is the main driver for most curriculum, correct? Because they're the largest purchaser, so most states end up purchasing, well, I should say the publishers end up making the same books, and so by default, most states will adopt Texas's curriculum. So that's why, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to add to that, one of the things that's important to us is we really move beyond just it's stamped Tennessee aligned. Our teachers look at those, and we ask them to take, once we get consensus, we ask them to take that resource back and implement a lesson, because you really don't know till you do it. And in many cases, we have had with ELA and math and now science, pretty quick, our teachers are savvy, so pretty quickly they'll say that it might be aligned, it might say it's aligned, but it's not truly aligned. So they do that level scrutiny, which helps the process.
Because I've seen the state do that as well. They'll approve something and you're like, it's not, if it met the standard, it barely met the standard. So no, I appreciate that extra step, but just to educate other board members in case they weren't aware that Texas kind of drives a lot of this stuff. What's the difference between this adoption and the previous? What are we using right now?
We had been using Discovery Ed Tech Book.
Okay.
Tech Book was not, they did not go through the process to go through formal review for commission, and so it was not considered. And what they voiced to us was the challenge with aligning their resource to this Tennessee state standards.
Okay.
And we actually were reviewing, just another example of that, how stringent that process, I believe, is one of the approved resources that we were considering for 6-8 pulled out after approval and did not show for their caravan with us because they had decided they couldn't continue the process. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments for Dr. Cinnamon? I would like to say I was encouraged to see you had 44 team members, and so a really broad and diverse group of educators, administrators, et cetera. So thank you for that. And I love seeing, or hearing rather, a high school science teacher talking to a kindergarten teacher, because it definitely does need to be vertical. So that's fantastic. And you I would imagine, learn an appreciation for those who are teaching something different, a different grade or a different age for sure. Okay, if there are no other questions, then the recommended action is to approve adoption of the list of science instructional materials recommended by the Kingsport City Schools Instructional Materials Committee. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, cast your vote. Okay, the votes have been cast, and that is unanimous. Thank you. Please pass along our thanks to Dr. Flora and Marcia Buck, who is hanging in there with us with KCS. We're so grateful for her, and thank you so much for what you're doing. Appreciate it. Okay, so that concludes the business portion of our meeting. Our next called meeting will be a work session on April 22nd, and you will be getting information about budgets and stuff. It's really getting time to crank it up as far as budget season. So we'll be getting some information on that. Also, we have an opportunity to become a board of distinction. Our local board here, KCS. So we have met most of the qualifications. There's a couple things that we still need to kind of tick off the list. And so one of those is a board self-evaluation. And typically we would do that in the fall during a retreat, but you all were so new, it didn't really seem effective to have an evaluation. So you should have received an email, I think, from TSBA. If not, that will be coming soon for a board evaluation, and you just fill it out and send it back to them, and they will compile all the data that's part of the information, part of the service that they provide for us. And then also we'll have a couple of other board members from neighboring districts who will come and evaluate one of our meetings. So it's been a while since we've been a Board of Distinction, so I'm proud of this board, of the work that they're doing, and want to try to get that accomplished. Also, there are so many spring activities. You know, you just saw representation of many of our arts programs, but there are other athletic events and just art shows, et cetera, et cetera. So I encourage you to try, those of you who are in our listening audience as well, try to get out and go see the great work that's going on between the walls of our schools and outside the walls too. But just a lot of opportunities to really color your world with our students in KCS. And Dr. Hampton, are there any comments that you would like to add on to that?
No, I would like to celebrate the examples that we had in front of us today. Isn't it incredible that was a middle school band, jazz band? I think some people would come in and think that that was the middle school band, and I would be quick to remind them if they were watching and thought, oh, the Robinson band. No, the Robinson jazz band or brass band was here. And so, but from my office, of course, you could hear them probably within a quarter of a mile of this room. And so when I heard them, and I knew who would be here tonight. I knew the group that was representing, but it could have been our high school. I mean, they sounded of what I would think to be high school quality, and it's just an example of high expectations and opportunities intersecting for greatness. And on the other end of that spectrum, TCAT is another example of that tonight, with almost 500 students engaged in post-secondary opportunities to not only improve their lives, potentially disrupt or promote opportunities for them and increase opportunities in our community, but to change our community, to elevate our community, and to create a better community for all of us to live in. And so those are just two great examples of dozens of opportunities. If you look at the list of activities, as you've alluded to, or the recognitions that we've had as a part of this group, we're working, just recently received a list of additional perfect ACT scores. I think for people to experience that maybe once in a career is a pretty big deal. We recognize those annually, and that doesn't happen without incredible family and community support and high expectations from pre-K all the way to high school. It's not possible to get to that. It's hard. I wouldn't say it's not possible. It's very hard to get to that point in 4 years of high school. It takes so much more of a foundation. And so, from academic to co-curricular to extracurricular to the performing arts to the visual arts, man, it's excellent. And we have to celebrate our teachers, our principals, our school level staff for making that happen. Of course, there are district level people who support them, but the magic was when the boots hit the ground. And so, I get to celebrate every day. There's opportunities to celebrate, but it's rare that I have the potential of getting the ear of the entire community, and that it saved archive that people might stumble across us later and recognize. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable there. It's a remarkable place to be. So,
and if I understood him correctly, there will be 30 Dobyns-Bennett students who graduate from their program prior to high school graduation. I was excited when there were 3. And in a very short amount of time, that number has grown to 30. That's incredible. That's just incredible.
No, that's about 1,000% increase in a 3-year period of time. So it is pretty remarkable. The TCAT Center in Kingsport makes so much of that possible, having that in our backyard, being able to host them and to, Dr. McMillan is a big supporter and a big advocate. And we have similar partnerships with ETSU, with Northeast State. So we were just hearing about one of our partners tonight. We've an incredible 20-year plus relationship with Northeast State and dual enrollment. We have students, and it coincides on the day of the high school honors day. And we're so busy in this school system that day is on a Sunday. It's hard. Kids are so busy, you just can't get a night of the week that works for them. So we do it after church hours on Sunday. That's for the same reason Northeast State is recognizing their early graduates as well. And I think we have 16 students who will be earning certificates or diplomas from Northeast State, or being recognized that day. Their graduation is perhaps a week later. But we'll have close to 60% of our senior class or more that will be considered college and career ready. And part of that is engaging and completing dual enrollment coursework. So it's an incredible menu of opportunities that this school system provides, and it's 100 years in the making. So it's also important for us to remember that those who came before us established the opportunities for us to continue to stand. We stand on tall shoulders, and we have an obligation to continue to expand those opportunities and the greatness that this community and this school system presents. So I could talk about that all day long because I love it and it's great and it's.
We can't tell a bit.
Well,
we can't tell it all.
And I get the
excited.
point of rambling, but those who are engaged in that work can't hear it enough. So thank you as a board for supporting that as well.
Yeah. And one more invitation I forgot to announce, and that is we received as board members and certainly for the entire community, the ECLC Art Show and Dinner at Washington Elementary. It's in their cafeteria. Will be at 5:30 this Thursday, April 10th, 5:30 at Washington Elementary. So if you have an opportunity, go join them for some pizza and chicken tenders and drinks. And I think there's going to be some desserts. So that sounds like a really fun night to me, for sure. So if you can make it, that's this Thursday at 5:30. And again, yes, and I know every board member feels the exact same way. We are so blessed with people who are so committed, passionate, and really set the bar high, and students are achieving that. And again, thank you to our troop back here, 387, for being here with us tonight and for the work that you're doing to become better citizens and future leaders of our community. We're so glad that you joined us. And so with that, if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Roll Tribe.